Ford vs. Ferrari was directed by James Mangold. And before I saw this movie, I thought James Mangold was a good director. I mean, there's his remake of 3:10 to Yuma, which is universally acclaimed. Then there's The Wolverine, which I think is an underrated superhero movie. And then there's Logan, which I think is one of the best superhero movies of all time. And after watching Ford vs. Ferrari, I'm ready to call him a great director. I am excited to see whatever he puts out next. This movie blew me away. After watching the trailers, I was not excited to see this, but the movie turned out to be way different from how it was marketed. To me at least, the trailers made it look like it was some dumb-witted comedy biopic that I had no interest in seeing a story about. In reality, this movie had a layered, interesting story, well-developed comedic moments, and incredible acting. And it wasn't one of those biopic movies where I'm like, did we really need to see a movie about this? No, this movie was interesting. I was kind of blown away at what actually happened back then. So the story is about Ford's attempt to design and create a race car that can compete in the 1966 Le Mans, which is a race that lasts 24 hours. The movie follows Carroll Shelby and Ken Miles as they fight with Ford to be able to develop and race the perfect car. They know what they're doing, it's just about getting Ford to trust them and let them do what they need. One of the movie's strongest themes was about the everyman versus the corporation, which really would have technically been a more fitting title for the film. I loved every minute of watching Carroll Shelby battle his way against Ford. Carroll Shelby is played by Matt Damon, and Ken Miles is played by Christian Bale, who both do just amazing jobs. This year is just completely stacked with incredible performances. So both Shelby and Miles have such well-developed characters, and one could say Miles has a bit of a temper, and it could be easy to make this movie one-sided and portray him as kind of a jerk, but I never saw him like that because we saw the family side of this man. It was a man who truly cared about his wife and his son. They did a great job of just fleshing out these main characters. So James Mangold has stated that he wanted to make this movie feel accessible to those without an extensive knowledge of cars or racing. And I think he definitely hit that goal. I don't know a whole lot about cars or racing, and I never felt like I didn't know what was going on in the movie. While at the same time, I didn't feel like I was being talked down to, which is a fine line to walk. So the driving scenes in this movie were very well shot and edited. I felt like they were on par with some of the most intense action scenes. I was dumbfounded at how they got certain shots in the movie as well. These races just had such energy and intensity to them, and that intensity would not have been there had they not done such a great job crafting and developing these characters in the story. So this movie takes place in 1966, and the production design, the costume designers, they all did a fantastic job of just transporting the viewers back into that era. And it wasn't so in your face like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was. This was more subtle background cues to let you know you were in 1966. And on top of this, they created such a fun world. It made me want to just step into the screen and live there, which is a hard thing to do when you're creating something other than a fantasy movie. I mean, this was a true story. It made me want to go there. So kudos to you, James Mangold, on doing that. So while they did a good job making this movie feel like it was taking place in 1966, the entire movie felt like an old 60s or 70s movie as well. It felt like an epic film, which is something we don't really see a lot nowadays. Nowadays, the bigger movies are superhero films primarily, and not as much money and attention are given to films like this. And I'm glad they treated this like an epic movie, because it succeeded and it benefited from that greatly. So the only two issues I had with the movie are that it was just a little bit long. I was very glad that they felt like they needed to take that time to develop the story and characters, but I do think 5 to 10 minutes could have been shaved off. And I was confused about one rule in the race at the end of the movie, and I think they could have done a little bit better of a job explaining that. But other than that, this movie was incredible. And Matt Damon and Christian Bale, they both elevated this movie from great to excellent. This whole movie just breathed a breath of fresh air into the industry. I'm so happy this movie exists and that I got to go see it. And to be fair, it might be more of a guy movie, it might not be for everybody, but I'm gonna give this movie a 10 out of 10. Highly recommend it, guys. Please go out and see it. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you for my next review.